Hola bandidos, how is everyone doing? Welcome to Magic Mel. It's the 3rd of December. This is episode 10, and I'm happy to have you all here. I'm a little bit under the weather, recovering from a cold, self-induced. I'm kind of reaping the karma. I went surfing last Sunday, and I didn't really listen to my body. When I put on the wetsuit, my body was like, "Nah, this is too cold, Melanie. You're gonna be cold. You're gonna be cold." But I'm like, I kind of like shrugged it off. I'm like, "Yeah, it's gonna be okay." And I wanted to take advantage of a surf immersion, which was offered by a local surf school as a reward for doing a beach cleanup. So I didn't want to miss the opportunity. And then a few days later, I joined a salsa class, and again, if I had really listened to my body was like, "Melanie, you should rest." But again, I ignored it. So the next day, yesterday, I was completely knocked out. I'm like, my body was like, "This is it. I warned you. You didn't listen." Boom. Which brings me to a point. The importance of listening to our body, the messages of our body. And for me, it's been an ongoing practice challenge. Most of my life, I used to be in my head too much. So my challenge this year is really to ground myself, to feel safe in the body, to return to the body awareness. I used to be very kind of fifth chakra, fourth, fifth chakra upwards, very intellectual, because I essentially felt unsafe in my body. Which explained my anxiety, lifelong anxiety. And so the importance of listening to the messages of our body, that's a huge one. And it made me realize this morning, when I started to feel better, I was just like, wow, what a miracle. If you really stop and think about this amazing intelligence we carry in our bodies to go towards healing itself. It's incredible. And I find as long as you provide the right environment, in my case, obviously taking care of myself, staying in bed, drinking a lot of hot liquid, if you help your body, or if you provide the right environment, your body can heal itself. We have immense powers to heal if only we encourage the healing. Which leads me to another point I wanted to bring up. It's based on the quote of the Buddha, that pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. Now, I've heard, I used to hear that all the time, but it's weird how these sayings, until you're really at the right place and ready to receive the message and incorporate it in yourself as experiential knowledge, the truth will just slip off like, water on a duck's feather. But when it clicked for me that yes, pain is inevitable, but that suffering was a choice, that's when my healing took place earlier this year, because I realized that to be chained to a story of suffering, and which took place or was induced because of some event, some trauma from the past, as long as I kept hold, as long as it was attached to this narrative of poor me, of victimhood essentially, then I would not be able to heal. And it really took a certain consciousness and very harsh looking at myself, like, Melanie, why are you so attached to the story of healing? The answer was pretty clear. It's ego. The ego loves feeling sorry for itself. The ego loves to attach itself to some narrative. Usually it's not a very, it's not a productive narrative at all, but because it's familiar, the ego prefers that over stepping into, letting go and stepping into the unknown. Because in the unknown, in the newness, in the freshness of the now, the ego basically dissolves. The ego needs something to attach to. So at one point I had to ask myself, okay, this happened, and yes, there was pain. We will not deny that, we will accept that. But what is more important to you, Melanie? Do you want to be happy? Do you want to heal? And at some point I said, yes, I deserve to be happy. I want to be happy. I deserve to be happy. And that decision entailed that I had to let go of my victim story. And it was scary. But I feel like, until we choose happiness and until we choose healing over suffering, we will be stuck in a certain loop. Joe Dispenza was a big influence earlier this year when I started to do these very serious meditations and kind of conditioning. He talks about mastering your body. He talks about embodying the feeling that you choose to embody, i.e., if you really want to be joyful, then you choose to embody joy and you conjure happiness and joy from within. And that in his argument is that that's how you master your destiny, because you no longer are attached to a condition. You actually precede the condition by being what you desire. And then along the way, the manifestation shall follow. It means law of the universe, law of attraction. So I lost my train of thought there. This is actually the second recording. I did another one earlier, but I had a runny nose. It was too embarrassing. I couldn't publish that. In any case, yes, pain is inevitable. Suffering is optional. We have to choose to be happy. We have to choose to heal. And the universe meets us halfway. In my experience, as soon as I decided to heal, the path towards the next step of my healing journey was revealed to me. I didn't know what would happen, but the universe literally met me at each step of the way. So that was really encouraging. And providing the right conditions, setting ourselves up for success, no longer fighting against us, no longer running from our pain. That's another important point I want to make. I used to run from my pain all the time. So I used to have huge panic attacks, anxiety attacks. And instead of sitting down and listening to it, I did eventually because I was at a terrible point of despair. But I used to run away from my pain all the time. I used to try and numb it in all kinds of ways. And I was listening to a lot of talks about trauma. Oh gosh, what's his name? I'm going to quote him later. But Gabor Mate, how he was also pointing out the fact that we really relive our trauma. The trauma is stored in the body, and until we really have the courage to sit, to go down the so-called, sit with the dragon, sit with the monster, what we consider the monster, the pain, and really listen to what it has to say, and then until we do that, the trauma will perpetuate itself. It will just recycle. It will basically on replay. You're living in the past instead of being present and transmuting it and opening yourself up to a new life. So in my experience, it really takes courage to look under the symptoms. I used to have a huge kind of rock fibroid tenseness in my shoulder years and years. And I tried everything like massages, yoga, especially in Thailand. I used to live in Thailand. Tried everything to get rid of that knot. But until I really sat down and tried to uncover the psychological and spiritual meaning of that pain, it would not let it disappear. And which brings me to another point I wanted to raise is that, our pain is there for a reason. I find it a huge tragedy that often we try and numb the messenger or kill the so-called messenger, by taking painkillers and treating symptoms without going to the root of the problem. And again, it takes patience and a willingness, a curiosity to go down there and really see what's happening, and not be so eager and impatient to just get rid of the symptom. The pain has something to tell you. The pain is there for a reason. And the pain can be a blessing. That's another thing. In my journey through depression, looking back now, I would never, I told myself to never go back to that hellhole, but from the position where I'm now, looking back, it's been a blessing. Because the pain it gave me depth, and it just made me realize that, yeah, there is no light without shadow. Like having gone through that experience, I think enriched my being in the sense of being more compassionate, not only with myself but with others. So to sum up, healing is a choice, happiness is a choice, and once we make that choice, the universe meets us halfway and supports our journey towards wholeness. But we have to take our power back and choose happiness and healing over everything else, and let go of the victim story, and let go of the pain once and for all. So I hope you're not in pain. I hope you're keeping warm. I'm wishing you a wonderful weekend, and thank you for being here. If my videos, if my message resonates with you, please like, share, and subscribe. Share with friends. And I look forward to seeing you in my next episode. ¿Vale? Os mando un gran abrazo. Bueno, con distancia. Alles Gute, liebe Leute. Schönes Wochenende euch. Y nos vemos mañana. ¿Vale? Chao. Besos.